Greetings to you, Crocoduck Army! We humans are obsessed with the things that we fear the most. Discovery Channel wouldn't have Shark Week every year if so many people didn't have a fear-driven curiosity about them. In this presidential election year, many articles have been written about fear and how it's driving people politically. Whether you think it's a positive or negative in this particular case can certainly be argued. Most animals have some sort of fear response because it's adaptive. We fear things that could cause our lives to end or be less comfortable or happy, and avoidance of those things means that we can survive and hopefully reproduce. But are our fears commensurate with the risk that they pose to us? A lot of times, even most of the time, our fears are stronger than the real risk. Our brains are wired to be more fearful of things than we need to be because it prevents bad things from happening to us. Those largely harmless snakes and spiders that a lot of people freak out about are a prime example. There's usually no consequence for those phobias aside from discomfort and maybe being made fun of. There are, however, consequences for many of our other phobias. Some people are so afraid of terrorism that despite the tiny likelihood of ever being a victim of it, they will advocate for changes to immigration policy. They are more than happy to change the very nature of our society, just to feel that tiny bit safer. If they really want to go to extremes to reduce terror, why not just ban all men from immigrating? Men commit practically all terrorism and most violence, after all. Hey, if you're gonna ban billions of people just based on fear, let's get serious about it. This is, of course, completely silly. I can just hear people typing now that some radical feminist on Tumblr actually suggested this, and how it's an outrage. I agree with you, but I would also suggest that you spend less energy on ridiculous people. Anyway, you can easily see how fear will close your horizons and make people and entire societies act in irrational ways, but fear can actually kill us in ways you may not expect. A lot of people are afraid of flying, despite the fact that commercial air travel is far safer than driving. Almost everyone knows someone who was killed or badly injured in a car accident, but we fear air travel because we aren't in control when we're on a plane. Car accidents kill about 1.3 million people every year worldwide. Car accidents are sudden events, so those untimely deaths are extremely disruptive to families and communities, both emotionally and economically. Tesla, Google, and others are already developing self-driving cars. Since most car accidents are driver error, they could eventually reduce fatalities by more than 70%. But Zonstar, some guy in a Tesla was just killed using Autopilot. Yes, that's true, but it was an early version of it that is not supposed to be used by itself as you watch a movie, which is what that guy was doing. It should be noted that the same technology likely saved his life just months before, in avoiding what he said would have been a very bad accident. Inevitably, there will be some accidents that happen despite the technology, but don't be one of those people I see online saying that the technology should not be used because of this. Your fear will literally cost millions of lives if you succeed in stopping it. Speaking of costing lives, the anti-vax movement is doing just that every day, and health demagogues like Dr. Mercola, the Food Babe, and David Wolf continue to fill people's heads with nonsense, telling people that the real danger is gluten or GMOs or some chemical or another. Even the somewhat more mainstream Dr. Oz is pushing miracle diet pills, since that's easier than encouraging people to get off the couch. If only there was a game that could get you outside and walking around. Pokemon Go is a really fascinating phenomenon. I had heard of some of the earlier attempts at augmented reality games, but none of them ever caught on like Pokemon Go has. I was a bit surprised to see the number of people who were complaining about it on Facebook, and talking about how dangerous it is. There have been some car accidents and a couple people who walked right off a cliff playing the game, which is tragic, but none of that should happen when you're playing if you're paying even a little bit of attention. You may think that the net result of Pokemon Go is many players having fun but the loss of some lives, but you would almost certainly be wrong. How many people are reversing the effects of obesity or depression by getting outside in the sun with other people and doing something enjoyable? How many of those people have avoided suicide or heart attacks and strokes already? It's impossible to know for sure, but I would put money on it that it's tenfold the number of people who died of carelessness while playing. So, play without shame. Ooh, look, I'm gonna catch a crocoduck.